We judge an invention by its success. Does it work? Does it fly? Does it change the world? But what if the greatest invention in history was a failure? A machine that never took flight, a design that was never built, a dream locked away on paper. And yet, its beauty, its philosophical beauty, was powerful enough to shape the next 500 years. This is not a story about airplanes, nor the history of flight. It is the story of Renaissance engineering, of the moment when art became science and imagination became motions, of a man who believed that beauty was a form of truth, who drew not just to understand the world, but to recreate it. This is Da Vinci's dream. In the last age, we watched light become understanding. Man replaced worship with observation. Now, understanding will become design. Observation will become action. And at the center of this transformation stands one man, Leonardo da Vinci. Some say Da Vinci was a scientist who used anatomy to paint the Mona Lisa. They are correct, but they are looking backward. Da Vinci was not a scientist who happened to paint. He was an artist who believed that art and engineering were the same language. To paint a rock, you must first understand its geology. To paint a smile, you must first engineer the muscles that create it. When others saw a face, he saw the geometry beneath. When they looked at an arm, he saw a system of levers. When they drew a heart, they saw a symbol of love. Da Vinci saw a dual chamber pump, a hydraulic marvel. He wasn't dissecting life. He was reverse engineering creation itself. And his true workshop, his true canvas, was the notebook. Thousands of pages, not diaries of a man, but blueprints of reality. Each filled with an obsession: mechanics, gears, springs, pulleys, screws. Studied how one force could be translated, reversed, magnified, and controlled. He was not doodling, he was composing. A musician arranges notes to create harmony. Da Vinci arranged forces to create functional beauty. If Beethoven composed with sound, Leonardo composed with motion. And within that pursuit, he found something divine, the idea that beauty itself could be proof of truth. This was the birth of his grand philosophy. Not art, not science, they were one. He called it saper vedere, knowing how to see. We call it the aesthetic of engineering. A belief that a machine, a bridge, a cannon, a gear must not only work, it must also be beautiful. Because for Leonardo da Vinci, function without grace was no invention at all. For years, his hands drew the rhythm of the earth, machines that walked, that turned, that breathed. But now, his eyes turned upward, toward the wind, toward the sky. Among all his inventions, one dream rose quietly above the rest, a dream of flight. He had built machines that could move water, machines that could walk, machines that could think. But this was different. It was not invention. It was longing. It was man's oldest prayer, to leave the earth behind. Other historians call his flying machine a curiosity, a stage prop, a dreamer's toy. They are wrong. It was not a hobby, it was the final test, the purest proof of his philosophy. If man was a machine, and a bird was a machine, then man could build a machine to fly like a bird. He spent decades chained to the ground, watching. Competitors say he studied birds, but he did more. He interrogated them. He dissected them. He was translating them, translating God's biology into man's mechanics. He saw that a bird's wing was not solid. It was a system of levers, the bones, and cables, the muscles, covered in an aerodynamic skin, the feathers. He saw the spiral motion of a wingtip. He saw how a tail became a rudder. He wasn't an imitator. He was a translator. He looked at a feather and saw an aerodynamic lever. He looked at a wing beat and saw a system of gears. And from this translation came the dream, the ornithopter, a word from the Greek, ornithos, bird, and pteron, wing, a machine of wood, canvas, and gears. A pilot, lying prone, would power the wings with his own arms and legs. A man, becoming the mechanism, a new creature. This is where his philosophy crystallized. To create is to dream with purpose. Think about that. A modern engineer asks, is it efficient? Is it strong? Does it work? But Da Vinci asked a different question. Is it beautiful? Is it elegant? He wasn't designing for utility. He was composing for harmony. He wasn't obsessed with motion. He was obsessed with grace. The wing was not just a tool. It was the extension of a soul. The gear was not just a component. It was a heartbeat of metal. He believed that beauty was proof of truth. That a machine without elegance could never function with perfection. This philosophy bled into every design. Look at the aerial screw, the ancestor of the helicopter. A massive spiral of linen turning through air. It is hypnotic. It is absurd. And yet, it is beautiful. Look at his parachute, a pyramid of canvas. He wrote that it would allow a man to fall from any great height without injury. He didn't just solve problems, he solved them with geometric grace. That is why his notebooks are not manuals. They are works of art. Art with purpose. He turned the problem of motion into a symphony of lines. He turned mechanics into art. And in the dim light, the music finally breaks. What once soared now stands still. At the center of the dream lies a truth we cannot escape. The machines were never meant to fly. As our competitors correctly state, the physics were impossible. The 15th century had no lightweight aluminum, it had no carbon fiber, it had no gasoline engine, it had only wood, iron, and canvas. The materials were too heavy, and the power source, the human heart, was too weak. The ornithopter could not defeat gravity, the fighting vehicle could not move, the giant crossbow could not fire. The dream was simply too heavy for the world he lived in. This is the tragedy of Leonardo. His genius was a paradox. His mind lived in the 21st century, but his body was trapped in the 15th. He was a man out of time, a consciousness trapped in a cage of bronze-colored paper, trapped inside his own magnificent mind. But here is the truth beneath the tragedy. This is also the beauty of it, because it forces us to confront the real question. What is the purpose of an invention? Is it to work, or is it to inspire? The conspiracy channels claim his genius came from the future, or from aliens, because his inventions were too advanced. But they miss the point completely. His genius did not come from the future. His genius created the future. The ornithopter machine never flew, but the idea of the ornithopter, that flew. It flew on paper. It flew through time. It flew from mind to mind for more than 400 years. Until 1903, when two bicycle mechanics in North Carolina, the Wright brothers, finally solved the equation. They were not just mechanics. They were the direct descendants of Leonardo's dream. His idea flew for half a millennium, inspiring every engineer who ever looked at a bird and felt the pull of the sky. Da Vinci's true invention was never the object. It was the process. It was the notebook itself. It was the blueprint. He proved something timeless. That a drawing, a dream in ink and paper, can be so beautiful, so mechanically elegant, that reality has no choice but to catch up. Leonardo da Vinci did not invent the airplane. He invented the dream of flight. Da Vinci taught us the ultimate lesson of the Renaissance. Engineering is art, art with purpose. He took the chaos of motion and shaped it into a dream. But this is not a dream of art alone. It is a dream of mechanics. And for a dream to have power, it must follow rules. It must have precision. Da Vinci's gears were beautiful, but they were logical, predictable, calculable. His art was not fantasy. It was a system. He found the logic in the human body. He found the logic in the machine. What happens when this mechanical rhythm, when this logic of the gears is scaled upward to the stars? If you wish to walk further into this universe, all you need to do is not leave, because beyond those stars lies a cosmos that moves not by chance, but by design. A universe where motion becomes mathematics and precision becomes law.